Norway, a land of towering mountains, deep fjords, and long dark winters illuminated by the ethereal glow of the aurora borealis. This is a land where nature has always played a defining role in shaping the lives and destiny of its people. From the earliest hunter-gatherers who roamed these lands after the last ice age to the modern, technologically advanced society of today, Norwegians have always been shaped by their close relationship with the natural world. For centuries, Norway was a land of small, independent communities often isolated from one another by the challenging terrain. This isolation fostered a strong sense of independence and self-reliance among its people. Yet despite the challenges, Norwegians have always been driven by a spirit of exploration and adventure. This spirit of adventure would lead them to set sail in their iconic longships, becoming the Vikings who raided and traded across Europe and beyond. They would establish colonies in Iceland, Greenland, and even North America centuries before Columbus. Yet the history of Norway is not just a tale of Vikings and exploration. As the last ice age loosened its grip on northern Europe, the land that would become Norway began to emerge from beneath a blanket of ice thousands of meters thick. Melting glaciers carved out the deep fjords and valleys that define the Norwegian landscape. The retreating ice also opened up new lands for human habitation. The first people to arrive in Norway were nomadic hunter-gatherers, following herds of reindeer and other game across the land. They left behind traces of their presence in the form of cave paintings and simple stone tools, offering us a glimpse into their lives. These early Norwegians were hardy and resourceful, adapting to the challenges of a harsh environment. Around 5,000 years ago, agriculture began to spread to Norway. People began to settle down in one place, cultivating crops and domesticating animals. This marked a profound shift in the way of life for the early Norwegians. Villages sprang up and new technologies like pottery and the wheel were introduced. The transition to agriculture allowed for larger and more complex societies to develop. It also paved the way for the emergence of a distinct Norwegian culture and identity. These early farmers would lay the foundation for the kingdoms and empires that would follow. The Viking Age, spanning roughly from the 8th to the 11th centuries AD, is perhaps the most famous period in Norwegian history. It was a time of unparalleled expansion when Scandinavian seafarers known as Vikings ventured out from their homelands to explore, raid, trade, and settle across vast areas of Europe and beyond. The Vikings were renowned for their seafaring skills and their iconic longships, which were fast, maneuverable, and capable of navigating both rivers and open seas. These ships allowed them to strike swiftly and unexpectedly, appearing on the coasts of England, France, and even as far afield as North America. Their raids on monasteries and settlements brought them wealth and notoriety. However, the Vikings were more than just ruthless raiders. They were also skilled traders and explorers. They established trade routes that spanned from the Caspian Sea in the east to North America in the west. They traded in goods such as furs, timber, slaves, and luxury items from the Byzantine Empire and the Middle East. The Vikings also established settlements in many of the lands they explored. They founded Dublin in Ireland, established a colony in Iceland, and even reached the coast of North America centuries before Columbus. The legacy of the Vikings can still be seen today in the place names, language, and culture of many countries across Europe and beyond. The Viking Age marked a period of outward expansion and exploration. However, by the 11th century, Norway itself was undergoing a period of significant internal change. The introduction and eventual dominance of Christianity would have a profound impact on Norwegian society, culture, and politics. Christianity had been present in Norway since the Viking Age, brought back by traders and raiders who had encountered the faith in their travels. However, it was not until the reigns of Kings Olaf Tryggvason and Olaf II Haraldsson in the late 10th and early 11th centuries that Christianity began to take root as the dominant religion. The conversion to Christianity was not always peaceful. Olaf Tryggvason in particular was known for his forceful methods of conversion. He destroyed pagan temples and forced those who refused to convert to flee. However, Christianity also brought with it literacy, education, and new forms of art and architecture. The establishment of a unified Norwegian church with its own archbishopric in Nidaros, modern-day Trondheim, further strengthened the position of Christianity in Norway. It also contributed to the growing power of the Norwegian monarchy as kings sought to consolidate their rule and create a more centralized state. Section 5. The Black Death and Union, a time of crisis. The 14th century brought unprecedented crisis to Norway. The Black Death reached Norway in 1349. It killed an estimated one-third to one-half of the population. The plague devastated Norwegian society and economy. Farms were abandoned, towns decimated, and labor shortages crippled industries. The plague weakened the Norwegian monarchy. Norway entered unions with Denmark and Sweden. In 1397, the Kalmar Union was formed. It aimed to strengthen against the Hanseatic League. The union faced internal conflicts and power struggles. Denmark increasingly dominated the union. This led to resentment in Norway, viewing the union as Danish domination. Section 6. Independence and Union, a Balancing Act. The 19th century was a time of great upheaval and change in Europe, and Norway was no exception. The Napoleonic Wars, which raged across the continent, had a profound impact on Norway's destiny. In 1814, as the Napoleonic Wars drew to a close, Denmark was forced to cede Norway to Sweden as part of the Treaty of Kiel. The Norwegians, however, were determined to resist being treated as a mere pawn in the power politics of the great powers. Inspired by the ideals of the Enlightenment and the American and French revolutions, they convened a national assembly at Eidsvoll and on May 17, 1814, signed their own constitution, declaring Norway an independent nation. The Norwegians' declaration of independence was short-lived. Sweden, unwilling to relinquish its claim to Norway, invaded, forcing the Norwegians to accept a union under the Swedish crown. However, the Norwegians were able to negotiate favorable terms for the union. They retained their own constitution, parliament, and control over most domestic affairs. The union with Sweden, while resented by some, ultimately proved to be a relatively peaceful and stable one. It allowed Norway to develop its own distinct national identity and institutions. It also provided a period of relative peace and stability that allowed Norway to focus on economic and social development. Section 7. The 20th Century, War and Peace. The 20th century was a time of dramatic change and upheaval for Norway, marked by both war and peace, hardship and prosperity. In 1905, after nearly a century of union with Sweden, Norway peacefully dissolved the union and became a fully independent nation once again. The early 20th century was a time of rapid modernization and industrialization for Norway. The country's economy grew, fueled by the expansion of shipping, fishing, and hydroelectric power. Norway also established itself as a pioneer in social welfare, introducing progressive policies such as old age pensions and unemployment insurance. However, the peace and prosperity of the early 20th century were shattered by the outbreak of World War I. Although Norway remained neutral during the war, its economy and shipping industry were severely affected by the conflict. The war also highlighted Norway's strategic importance, situated as it is along the vital sea lanes of the North Atlantic. World War II brought even greater hardship to Norway. Despite declaring neutrality, Norway was invaded and occupied by Nazi Germany in April 1940. The German occupation lasted for 5 long years and was a time of great suffering and hardship for the Norwegian people. Section 8. Oil boom and modernity, a new prosperity. Following the end of World War II, Norway embarked on a path of rapid economic recovery and growth. The country benefited from the Marshall Plan, a US-funded program to rebuild war-torn Europe. Norway also joined NATO in 1949, aligning itself firmly with the West during the Cold War. However, the most significant event in Norway's post-war history was undoubtedly the discovery of oil and natural gas in the North Sea in the late 1960s. The discovery of vast reserves of oil and gas transformed Norway's economy, turning it from a relatively poor country into one of the wealthiest nations in the world. The oil boom allowed Norway to develop a comprehensive social safety net with free healthcare, education, and generous social welfare programs. It also allowed the country to invest heavily in infrastructure, research, and development. However, Norway's oil wealth has also brought challenges. The country has had to grapple with the so-called resource curse, the tendency for countries with abundant natural resources to experience slower economic growth and greater inequality. Section 9. Sustainability and Innovation, Looking Ahead. As Norway entered the 21st century, it faced the challenge of how to manage its vast oil wealth sustainably, while also looking to the future and the need to transition to a more diversified and sustainable economy. The country has taken a long-term perspective, investing heavily in renewable energy, technology, and innovation. Norway has become a world leader in renewable energy, particularly hydropower, which provides the majority of the country's electricity. The country is also a pioneer in electric vehicles, with one of the highest per capita rates of EV adoption in the world. Norway has also established a sovereign wealth fund, the world's largest, to manage its oil revenues for future generations. The fund invests in a wide range of assets, including stocks, bonds, and real estate, ensuring that Norway's wealth is invested for the long term. Today, Norway is known for its high standard of living, its stunning natural beauty, and its commitment to social justice and environmental sustainability. The country consistently ranks highly in international surveys of happiness, equality, and human development. Section 10. Conclusion. The enduring spirit of Norway. From the first hunter-gatherers who braved the harsh landscape after the last ice age to the modern, technologically advanced society of today, the Norwegian people have always demonstrated a remarkable capacity for resilience, adaptation, and innovation. Throughout their long and storied history, Norwegians have faced numerous challenges, from Viking raids to plagues, from foreign domination to economic hardship. Yet through it all, they have emerged stronger, their national identity forged in the crucible of these shared experiences. The Vikings' adventurous spirit lives on in modern Norway, albeit channeled into exploration of new frontiers of technology, sustainability, and social progress. Norway's story is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, the ability to overcome adversity, and the importance of looking to the future with hope and determination.